The jig is up. No one believes in the modern audience anymore, and especially Dontnod, the developer from Montreal that made some historic games in Life is Strange and a multitude of other properties that came out under the developer with acclaim. And of course, they have a new game coming out called Bloom in Rage, and it kind of focuses on this adolescent age, teenage age for particular girls, and kind of about the camaraderie and the travel and the adventure between these girls around a traumatic incident. And it's kind of crazy to see a game from Dontnod actually not be successful, because Life is Strange 1 and 2 all have been successful to some certain extent. And now that latitude is not being provided to this developer's new game called Lost Records Bloom in Rage. And this is a game that I think is in line with the Life is Strange series, has a lot of the similar elements, so it can be quite confusing that this game is not successful. But that is happening to the developer right now, where they're wondering, where is all that faithful modern audience people that said they will come out and support games that talk about issues that they want to see, games about gender, racial issues, these people that purported to be supporters of these concepts in gaming? Why aren't you supporting this game? And this is the result that we're seeing right now, a game heading towards a massive amount of failure. And that's what's happening with Lost Records Bloom in Rage. This game is not selling at all. This game is not reaching the expectations that these developers set out for this property. And you can just look at the Steam numbers right now. It had a peak of 1,990 players, almost 2,000 players. That is not even reaching some of the highest peaks of their other properties like Life is Strange. And I think this is the result of it being a new property itself, but I think it also attributes to what we know about the development space right now in the gaming industry, where you're making games for a small minority of people now that may or may not be gamers at all and may not exist in the gaming space. And I think this is the result that we're seeing with Lost Records Bloom in Rage. They made a game for a minute amount of people within the customer base. I think that is the thing that is leading to the massive failure of this title. You just made a game that is just too small in scope, that can't reach out beyond it. And I think that's the thing with Lost Records. I played this game myself. I'm one of those few people that actually put effort, bought it, and actually played it for at least an hour or so. And I think this is a testament to me as a gamer. I'm a gamer. I'm going to play random games that may be good or bad, but I just need to play a game no matter what, and that is the audience they should be going for. And most gamers won't be like me. They won't give this game a try. And I think the players that they did get to play this game are probably in line with that as well. They're just people like, okay, I played Life is Strange, I know this series, I'm gonna play this out. Or maybe some mixture of these political activists that want to show support, but I highly doubt it. In the end, it's gamers playing games, and a lot of these people that are establishing development companies have lost sight of that. They started making games for people that do not play or buy games. They started making games for a political class of people that are just there to push their personal ideologies. And I think this is reflective of what we saw with Lost Records Bloom in Rage, where I think it was an appropriate game. It did what it had to do. I think it talked about the messages that it should talk about. But I think they pushed too hard in attracting that audience, because that audience simply does not play games. And if you're going to push that message, you're going to have to tap into the gamer base. And I think the gamer base is at the core of any successful game. And with Life is Strange 1 as a representative and a test subject that has actually been success while pushing these concepts, you should have used that as a basis of actually making a good game. And I think what failed with this game is what we saw with the many failures associated with Sweet Baby Inc. games and titles like that, where this game was going too hard to please different political divides within modern society, where it was trying to talk about too many things. It was missing out on key gameplay features that could have sustained the interest in the game. Because I thought the game was okay in and of itself, but the dialogue was atrocious. Some of the actors were kind of bad, and I felt like that kind of seeped into the ideologies that the developers kind of built up throughout these past 10 years, where political activism has invaded the space of gaming, where you're trying to probably hire people based on their skin color, based on different racial, gender issues, instead of actually hiring competent people that can tell a good story or put out a product, or that can help build a consensus that focuses on making good games. I think that is the thing that's missing here, where I'm thinking, okay, the basic concept, I see what you're trying to do with this game, where it could be interesting, but the gameplay is lacking. the focus of the story is lacking. And I think there's so much lacking in this game where I feel like it was made based on a consensus rather than a vision. And I think I felt that with this game where it felt like the actors are bad. It felt like a lot of the dialogue was bad, but they had to keep in the dialogue not to offend a developer. They did a bunch of things that felt like they were trying to please people within their staff rather than please the customer base and the gamer. I think that's what pushed me off of the game. Even though I felt like, okay, this could be good, but it's too long, it's too dragging, there's too much dull and gray spots in this game, and it just felt like a game that wasn't made to function at a high level. And it seems like the developers themselves are kind of having a frustration right now with that result, seeing that game players are not responding to their game, and rather than understanding the development process that occurred while they produced this game, they're lashing out at the modern audience. And I think it's a reasonable thing to do because this is the audience that has been telling you need to make games like this. You need to have these people in your studio to make these games. You need to not hire the talented people. You need to bring in these people because they are more representative of the group that you should be talking about. And they did all those things, it seems, and they're not reaping the benefits of that. And that's why we're seeing on LinkedIn people come out and say, what is going on? Aren't you supposed to be out here supporting our games? And that's what we're hearing from people, where they're saying, where are the people buying this game? Where are the reviews that are praising this game? We saw some of the reviews from the games media journalists, but from the users, we're not getting that response. And I think this is them not understanding they didn't make a high quality game to get that positive response. And they're trying to iterate what you should do to support their games. And of course, play it, buy it, and promote it. And that is just not happening. No one's buying the pre-orders. No one's buying the deluxe version. And they kind of point this out where they're understanding now you have to support the games that you're saying that are doing the things politically right. And he goes on to say, in the case of Lost Records, the developer Dontnod has lost over 90% of its market cap over the past 5 years. It has done everything that advocates and activists have clamored for during that period, to consistent commercial failures. And this goes on to the past Life is Strange games where they were moderate successes to failures as well, never matching up the first iteration of that game. And they're complaining about, we did everything you asked of us and you're not buying our games. What's going on? And this is the failure that they need to understand now, that they're not speaking to the gamer or player base. They're speaking to the activist class, the consultancy firms, the people that are just there to influence gaming because they want to influence the gaming customer market and not really make a profit. And this developer is noticing this fact and they're pointing this out. Some comments of people associated with this developer are pointing this out. Like, where are you giving the support to the genre you've been demanding for? And we delivered and you're just not there to play, because they don't understand that this group of buyers don't exist. The modern audience doesn't exist. You can just look at what happened with Dustborn. It was supposed to be a big hit, but no one played the game. No one actually supported the game. It barely had 100 players, and it just reflects that if you make something for the modern audience, you will get the modern audience. And the modern audience is less than 100 people. I think that's reflective of what we're seeing in the gaming industry today. So it's nice to see some people noticing right now that you can't depend on these fake gamers that don't play games, that are just out there to attack you if you don't have their same political ideology. And I think that's what we're seeing right now with Lost Record, Bloom and Rage, where people are just angry for not being reciprocal and bringing their company success. And it's kind of sad to see this developer try so hard and fail, but this is just the way gaming is. If you don't please the customer base, you're gonna lose. And I think that's what's happening right now with a lot of developers in the gaming industry. But this is just my 2 cents on the situation. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think about the failure in gaming of not noticing that the modern audience simply doesn't exist. I think that's what we're seeing right now. A lot of developers are noticing that's the case. But this is my 2 cents on the situation. You tell me what you think about the situation. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.